In this video, we would like to discuss the relationship between the BinaryHeap and the YoungTableau, and such that I would like this video could help you to understand this assignment, YoungTableau. First, let's take a look. Just summarize, right? Just get a warm up about the BinaryHeap. BinaryHeap, it is a binary complete tree structure satisfying two properties: completeness property and ordering property. The goal of BinaryHeap is to design a constant runtime to retrieve minimum and maximum element in a dynamic connection where elements come and go very frequently. And the elegant idea in this BinaryHeap, which is corresponding to you borrow the idea of a binary search tree. We make sure the smallest element or maximum element always stay in the root. And also for the convenience, for the later calculation, we wanted to follow some structure. And we use array to store the binary tree structure, right? So the reason it is why it's elegant, because the tree structure is nonlinear data structure. We convert this nonlinear data structure to be a linear data structure, use array to store and manage the dynamic connection. Let's see example, right? So we say given a sequence, it's a dynamic sequence, right? They come and go. And given dynamic sequence, we have, for example, 3, 1, 5, 2, for example, right? And in that case, we would like to, in the beginning, we have 3, because it's the first count. And then we have the second one. Once you have 1 here, we suppose 1 to be here and 3 to be here, right? And then once you have 5, you have 5 to be here. Now, once you have 2, with the first step, we put 2 in the end of the array, and then we, bubble up. We swap with this one, right? Then we have 1, 2, 3, 5. This is what we have the conversion, right? And such that in the array, this will be, we use array to store that. And this is 1, 2, 5, 3. In the array, we arrange the elements from the root, one level by one level. In each level, we store the elements from the left to right. First, we place 1 to be the first element in this array. Then we go to the second level, and from the left to right, we filled 2, we filled 5. Then we go to the third level, we filled 3. And also this satisfies completeness property, right? Low gap here. And a low gap in the odd n-1 levels. Only the last level they could have place you can add more elements there, but even for the last level, all the elements stay from the left to the right. So this is the BinaryHeap. Now let's take a look. We have the YoungTableau problem. Right? And let's take a look at this description. The goal of the assignment is to practice heaps and application. And M times n YoungTableau is m times n matrix, such that the entries of each row are in sorted order from left to right. And here, in each row, all the elements store in the left to right. It doesn't mean for each row they should be complete, but they need a guarantee in each level, in each row. If that's not complete, they need to make sure all the elements stay from the left to right. And entries of each column are stored order from the top to the bottom. Same idea. It may not be complete for each column, but we make sure, for each column, all the elements stay from top to the bottom. And also these two conditions should be satisfied. Then in that case, let's see here. If we have 3 times 3 matrix, since we need a guarantee, all the elements stay from the top to the bottom in each column, and for each row, all the elements stay from the left to right. In that case, I would like to take a look. This one is good or not good. This one is good or not good. We say it's not good. Although each row here, each column, especially each column here, and the elements in each column placed from top to the bottom. But check for each row. Not every row, the elements in not every row that satisfy this condition. Elements in that row should stay from the left to the right. In this case, the last row, this is empty here. This we say this is not good. And based on this condition, we say this is corresponding to the completeness property, similar to BinaryHeap. Okay, so this is the first property. Let's take a look. The next one. Some of the entries of YoungTableau may be infinity, which we treat as non-existent elements. Now, YoungTableau can be used to hold R times M, R less than or equal to M times infinity numbers. This makes sense because it's M times N matrix. And in such case, on the total number should not more than M times N. In order to maintain the YoungTableau property, we can consider any YoungTableau as a modified heap, in which each element has two parent nodes, left and top, and two children nodes, right and down. So each element is then bigger or equal to its parent nodes, and less or equal its children's nodes value. So from this part, we define the orderly property. It's corresponding to orderly property. So it means for each YoungTableau, we need to make sure it satisfies this two property. The YoungTableau should satisfy this property, right? YoungTableau, which it is M times N matrix, which satisfies completeness property and the ordering property. Right? So these two, we have to make sure these two should be satisfied. This one and this one, right? Let's erase this one. Okay, good. Now let's take a look at specific question and also take a look at example. Okay. First question, draw a 4x4 tabular containing the elements. Line 16. Here we have total, how many we have? We have line elements, right? Okay. So now let's see how can we fill these line elements into our YoungTableau. Let's write down this line number. So we need to fill okay. So the first task filled line number, filled line 16, 3, 2, 4, 8, 5, 14, 12. Filled this one in YoungTableau. Right? Okay. Since this is line numbers, definitely the matrix should be not more than that number, right? And here we mention this question, we fill the 4x4 matrix. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what is the rules. So now let's draw a 4x4 matrix. Okay, just like the binary heap, when we filled this number, we filled one by one from beginning to the end. And we have to make sure we adjust that and satisfy these two properties. So when we have line here, we put in the earlier position, the top, left top position. Why? The reason we make sure every element stay from left to right, from the top to the corner, from the top to the bottom for each corner. And then once we have 16 come, and we see when you insert 16, we need to make sure, in this case, we have 4 times 4 matrix. And also we would like you use a specific data structure to remember what is the top location, right? What is you use index to say how many elements here in each column, how many elements in each row. So you have 1 element in the 4th row, 0, 0, 0. You have 1, 0, 0, 0, right? When you fill the number, you fill from the from the first column, and you check what is the remaining elements, remaining cell. You can place number here. So you put a 16 here. Now trying to make sure every step you follow the same rule. And then after that, it is, in that case, the completeness property is satisfied. But ordering property, check ordering property. In this case, it's also okay. Now you get the 3, you put a 3 here, right? And because we say you check the first column, you check when you fill in the one number, you increase that to see how many elements in this row, right? And in this case, you have second elements already. Then in that case, you start from the third row, the first column, right? If this is complete, you go to here to fill in, and go to the second column to fill in. If this one second column is 4, and then you go to the third column. And then in this case, we see the completeness property is satisfied. Then we have to check the ordering property. We say 3 is smaller than 16. We have to swap them. This is just like a binary heap. We bubble up the elements and make sure finally the number will stay here. We swap them, right? And finally we have to swap them again, and we have 3 here, line here, right? Can you see? So in this case, we maintain the ordering property. And when we fill the last number to the end of the list, we satisfy the complete property. Very elegant. Now we put 2 here to do the same thing, right? When you add the 1 element, you adjust the number of elements in the columns, and also adjust the elements in the rows, right? It's just trying to make the right course here. And then do the same thing. You swap them and make sure this bubble up, and here you have 16 here, and let's clean this area, and then you will see very clear. After we pop up, we have 2 here, 3 here, line here, 16 here. Then you continue, you have 4. So since this column, the first column is 4, you can put the number 4 in this column and adjust the number of elements in the column, and also adjust number of elements in the row. And in this case, ordering property is fine. And then you get 8 put here, right? And then also check the ordering property. This all is good. Then you have 5 to put here. And every time we have to change this one and change, let's see here. We have to change this 2. This is 3, this is 2, this is 2. And once you have this one, we have to make sure this ordering properties should be fine. And you have 5 here. Once you have 5 here, since it's smaller than 2 parents, and we have to think about how can we adjust this 2, right? And you can check, you can swap with the left, or you can swap with the top, either one. And usually we ask you to do it is, you check, get these parents, and pick up the largest guy. You swap with the largest guy. In that case, we swap it. This one we swap, right? This corresponding to, also corresponding to bump up, because you have two, each element has two parents and also has two children, right? Each element, let's write it down here. Let's use this 2 times 3 as example. So if this should be 3 times 3 as example, right? So if this is a line, this is 3, 5, 6, 7, and 10, 12, 8, 14, right? So we see this line, it is the parent of these two elements, and the line, it is the children of these two elements, right? So this is the parent. This is a parent, and this is the children, right? Okay, good. So now once you swap it, then we have once we swap it, we have 5 here and 9 here. Since we pick up a largest guy, in that case, we make sure it is satisfied. And then in that case, you continue to check its parent and pick up the largest guy to swap. Use this way to bump up. Now you have 14, we put a 14 here. And then in that case, this one, and also keep in mind, we have to swap, we have to change the elements to remember how many elements in the rows and columns. And then we check the order property. This is not good. We have to check the parents, pick up the bigger one and swap. And then in that case, we have 14 here, 16 here. Then we have 12 is here. So in that case, we see this is fine, right? It is smaller than the larger than is parent, and smaller than it children. And it usually give the once you initialize the matrix, we assume every element it is infinity. So definitely in that case, the order property is no problem, right? Okay, so this is the first question, and also in this question you can see the example. What does mean the YoungTabler? And usually for give a dynamic sequence, and you could have multiple YoungTabler, and once this matrix satisfies two property, that is fine. It depending on your algorithm to say, well, you wanted to fill in, make sure the is complete. You can start from column by column, or you want to start from row by row, each way. Now let's take a look. Question 2. In the question 2, it is argued that an m times n YoungTabler is empty if y11 is infinity. And we see this is definitely, this is true, right? Because you check from the order property. And also argue that y it is 4 if ymn smaller than infinity, and this is also true. You can use the contrast method to prove. And let's check question 3. It's more challenging question. Okay, question 3. Question 3, it is given an algorithm to implement extract mean on non-empty m times n YoungTabler that runs in m plus n time. Your algorithm should use a recursive subroutine that solves an m times n problem by recursively solve either an m minus 1 times n or m times n minus 1 subproblem. And here we also give the hint. Think about the maximum happy phi. Define TP where p equal to m plus 1 to be maximum running time of extract mean on any m times n YoungTabler. Give and solve a recurrence relation for TP, that is the OM plus N time bound. So this is corresponding to extract the minimum guy. And extract the minimum guy in this case, let's write it down here. Extract min. It corresponding to, in this case, it corresponding to, we need to move this 2 out, right? To make it clear, let's draw the tabular. And let's put this number here. 2, 4, 12, infinity, 3, 8, 5, 9, 14, 16, infinity, infinity. Okay. So the idea here, it is we wanted to extract, we want to pick up the smallest one. We say the smallest one stay in the 1, 1 position, 4th row and 4th column. We need to extract this guy. Once you extract this guy, it corresponding to, we have to change this one to be infinity. And once it's changed to be infinity, the completeness problem, completeness property is not satisfied. In that case, we have to think about how to make sure its completeness property is fixed. So you can use row by row or column by column. The idea here, we want to make sure the end of last row, this the element, the last element in the last row, and this corresponding to the either this one, right? Either this one. This is the end of the second row, this is the end of the 4th row, and this is the end of the 3rd row. And we suggest you to do it is, you can check, since this is the end of the last, each row, right? We're sure this order and probably satisfied. And we pick up maximum guy. So pick up maximum of last elements in all rows, pick up the maximum one, and put this maximum one to the place maximum, play the selected, the maximum guy, right? The maximum element in the place 1, 1, right? Let's use this one to represent. So this is step 1, step 2. And after you have these 2 steps, and later is very similar to what we discussed in the first step, and also very similar to the BinaryHeap. And so now you have 16. Once you finish, you have 16. Let's put in different color. And you have 16 here, right? And since you have 16 here, the ordering property is not satisfied. Then you compare it to children, pick up the smallest one. Pick up smallest one and swap. And in that case, it is, you have 16. So you have 3 here, 16 here. Then you follow the same step. Every time you check your 2 children and make sure, check these 2 and make a swap, right? So this is what we call think down. And this is clear. And then follow the same procedure. Then we have these 2. For save of time, I just write it down here, right? Okay. So the third step corresponding to the think down, right? Compare the 2 children, 2 child loads of, let's say the root load, right? The root load, which corresponding to element 8, 1, 1, position, right? Compare the two child rows and swap the root node with smaller one. And we say we continue this procedure. Continue this step 3 until the order property is satisfied. Okay, so this is the step 3, and the question 3, and in this one, we can see based on what we have the discussion here, and the first two steps, this step 1, find the maximum element of last elements in rows. This is O n runtime, right? You have n rows, and each have one element, and this is O(n), and this one is O1, and the last step, in this step you swap, then you can write it down here. It is T, if that is m times n, is corresponding to, if this is the m, n, and it is equal to either one, right? Because you choose the smallest one. Either T m minus 1 n plus 1, or T n m or n minus 1 plus 1, right? Either one. So in that case, it is the O(m) plus n, right? Total together, and we have in this step 3, we have this one. Total, we have O(n) plus O1 plus O(m) plus n. And then in that case, it is O(m) plus n, right? So this is the question 3. Now let's check the fourth question. And also, for each is difficult questions, we have hints here, and you can see the short code. And the fourth question show how to insert new elements into a long for m times n Young tabular in O(m) plus n time. And actually, in this question, we already when we talk about the examples, we already gave you the idea. So this is the insert element to Young tabular. Let's use this one as example. Let's use this one, and let's say, let's draw. And then let's say we have number here, 3, 5, 14, 16, 4, 9, let's say 18, right? So when you insert element, for example, 7, then in that case, same as we talk about, right? We need to have the array to record how many elements for each row and how many elements in each column, the real element, right? And then you can use from the row or the column. The idea here is you want to insert each one of these position, and we want to make sure you want to follow the same step, or this one or this one, right? Let's use this one. You insert 7 to here. Once you have 7 to here, then in that case, the complete list is satisfied, but we have to check the order property. You pick up the smallest one, and pick up the biggest one. When when you think down, you pick up a largest guy. When you bump up, you use when you think down, you use the smallest one. and to swap, and when you bubble up, use the largest guy. So in that case, you swap this one with, let's erase, we need to change its number. So we have 4 here. Then we swap, pick up a largest guy to swap. So you have 7. You have 7 to be here, 18 to be here, right? And then you follow the same procedure. You swap with the largest guy, and you have 7 to be here. And you have 7 to be here, 14 to be here. And then in that case, all this order property and it's satisfied. And when we write the steps, we say, okay, we place step 1, we place new element in last position in the end of let's see here, in the first available position from last row to first row, right? If in that case, if no place you can place there, then it's 4. And then after that, so the step we call bubble up, corresponding to check the new element if check a new element, let's see, and swap it with its large parent. Very clear, right? Okay, and from here you can imagine in this step also the same thing, and then you have to continue. This is recursive solution. Continue until we see the ordering property is satisfied. In that case, it means you go to the find the place this element could stay and is larger than all these two parent nodes. Order property is satisfied. Okay, good. And this is also if we take a look, the runtime, this TP is equal to, not TP, TM n equal to either 1, TM minus 1, n plus 1, TM n minus 1 plus 1. And in that case, it's the OM plus n runtime. Okay, good. So now let's check the 5th question. In the 5th question, use long order sorting method as a subroutine. Show how to use an n times n YoungTableau to sort n squared numbers in O(n) cube time. So in this one, we want to say given n times YoungTableau to find ascending order of this n times n elements. We will show you, given this younger tabular, we do not have very strict order. The reason it is just like the binary heap, we just need to make sure each element is smaller than its children's nodes and is larger than parent nodes. And let's give an example. So this is 3, 5, 14, 16. This is 4, 9, 12. So we just load each is number smaller than child nodes, and each number larger than its parent nodes. And we have to sort that. In that case, it is we extract the smallest guy and extract minimum elements for n times n times. Since here it assumes it's completely failed, right? This is completely failed. And this is we talk about the worst case. And so here this is maybe 8 and 10. Oh, this is wrong, right? This should be 15. This should be 17, right? This should be 20, 21, maybe 19, 11, 8.5, for example, right? And then in that case, we extract for each one. And since for n times n time, so you have n square times, and since you extract the minimum element, we have O n plus n. In this is n times n, so you have n here. This is O n cube. So we finish this question. Let's check the next one. Given O n m plus n time random, tell me whether a given number is stored in a given m times n younger tabular. So this is the search question. Let's write it down here. This is the sixth question, and search for a target. Okay, right? For example, 12. I just give random number 12, right? So in that case, you can start from the smallest one, and you check this 12 is equal to this one or not. Then you check the two children, and you can pick up to check this 12 is belong to which area. And if this is the larger than largest guy, then in that case you continue to check what it is the next one, right? If this is you cannot find that, then in that case you can check for the previous elements to check who it is the largest one. So for this one, I think we leave this one to you. Let's say, do we have the hint here? Intuitively, if you want to find the target K in n m times n matrix, and in that case, you have to search for each row and column by column, and the series m times n. But we could have m plus n runtime to make sure you search in the correct position. So, for example, you check 12. Then you check this, if this is smaller than 9, then in that case, if it's smaller than 9, you go to the up, right? If it's larger than, find the largest guy. If it's larger than 5, then you go to here and check. And if it's even larger than 5, then you can go to here and check. So you follow the same procedure. And if it's larger than one of the largest parents, and then you continue follow this largest parent and to check. Once you meet, for example, check here, the 12 is smaller than this one. If it's smaller than this one, then what you do is you check, go to the up, and if it's larger than this one, you go to the right, and then larger than this one, you go to the one off, check this between these two, right? So it's smaller than this one, Then you check if larger than this one, then you go to this side and continue to check. If it's larger than this one, you go to the left. And if it's smaller than this one, you go to the up. If there's no place to go, you go to the bottom, right? Go to the bottom. If it's larger than this one, you go to the bottom. If it's smaller than this one, you go back to here. Okay, I think this is for this question. I think that's it. The last one, implement all the above mentioned algorithm.